Hi everyone, this is day 14 of the 31 Days of Tarot Challenge by Ethany, and today's prompt is: which tarot decks give you the most insight by way of the imagery and symbology of the cards rather than intuition or basic tarot knowledge? Um, when I first read this prompt, I had to think for a bit because, well, for me, basic tarot knowledge involves knowing the symbolism and like studying the imagery. So I think those two things kind of they go together in tarot reading, particularly in my tarot reading. So when I read tarot cards, especially those that are based on RWS system, usually the first thing that pop in my mind is the basic or core meaning of the cards, which I got from seeing the symbols, the basic symbols of the cards, of the image, and what are in the image. So like the strength, for example, you would have the lion, of course. The lion is like almost a permanent feature of the strength card. And when you look at the lion and the woman, because it's usually a woman, and rarely do I see strength card with a man. So when you see these two together, you immediately immediately think of the strength card, and then you associate those two together and you got the meaning, because the meaning is already, you already got it in fix in your mind. So yeah, they kind of like imagery and symbology and basic tarot meaning, like they go together, at least for me. But if I have to choose, I understand how to differentiate between decks that have to be read purely intuitively, and those that in which you can mix intuition and theory or imagery. So for mostly for my RWS based decks, I read based on the imagery and tarot knowledge together, and then I use my intuition to interpret the nuances of the cards, and especially when they are reversed. And also for this Shadowscapes Tarot, sometimes because of the delicate details and the amount of details in each card, sometimes you cannot you cannot read it, like for example the Spirit Within Tarot. Let me show you for a while. So yeah, you cannot read it like a Spirit Within Tarot, which is, this is a very very intuitive deck, because for example, you got King of Cups and it's just a silhouette, and the waters here, and the cities behind him. You got no symbology, you got no imagery, so this is, you rely on basic tarot knowledge plus intuition. Like you intuitively read the body language of the King of Cups, how confident, how calm he is, how he is, looks like a sympathetic person, but he is above his emotion. He is not overwhelmed or underswept by his emotion. So this for me is like an intuitive reading, a tarot that reads mainly intuitively. And while this one, with the rich details, you kind of like, every time I read with this card, I would look at the symbol, like I would wonder what butterflies mean here. Butterflies means maybe I think butterflies feature a lot in justice and the suit of swords, so I assume that it has something to do with a clarity, with transformation. So yeah, so I think this kind of cards that have so many details and RW based card are I mean decks, sorry, not cards. I mean decks are those that I read mainly by looking at the symbols and the imagery, particularly this Shadowscape Tarot, like this one. The Hierophant is what do you call, not a priest, but like old dryad, or old like old spirit of the forest. And the salamander here obviously symbolize fire and passion and what do you call, perseverance, something like that. And so this hierophant here has something to say to the passion, how the salamander wants to be a bird, but obviously cannot be a bird because, well, it's a salamander. So yeah, for this kind of deck with rich detail, you really have to look at the symbols, like yeah, not just the basic RWS symbol, but also yeah, the whole thing, the details that might help in interpreting the cards. Like this one, you have the fruit of temptation and the serpent, and then here you have the spirit, your higher self. So there is a contrast there. And here you have the fish. Fish usually represent abundance. And phoenix, which represent rebirth, which is the essential meaning of the death. So yeah, I think these decks are some of the decks that I read not just by intuition, but also by way of symbology. And the same thing can also be said to the Delos Tarot, which is also very heavily RWS based. So yeah, I guess those are some of the decks that I read by symbology more than intuition. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.